Honestly, how did this happen? How did we start underrating Kizaru? I understand the personality thing, where Kizaru is one of the admirals that he doesn't really show a lot of interest in things, and he's a consummate troll. However, the general consensus or the perception of Kizaru that I see, everywhere nowadays, I think he's become underrated. How? Well, I guess it's time to talk about it. And how you guys been? I know it's been a while. I hope you're being safe with the corona stuff going on. I know it's a lot to deal with. I know it's hard to quantify exactly how much people are actually dealing with, but I hope a video like this can, help you at least a bit throughout your day. But to Kizaru, I think one thing Oda is amazing at is building hype. One Piece is the king of hype in regards to shonen. Oda himself has an unbelievable way to create expectations or set expectations for certain things and certain characters and certain events, like the Reverie and the Admirals even before they were revealed, and it's marvelous. It's really top tier. Now, the execution of some of these can be called into question. Regardless, the hype cannot be questioned. What I mean is, the supernova. We got the introduction to all the supernova in Sabaody, and pretty much it was stated that these supernova, were roughly on the level of Luffy. Now, one thing that was important about this moment, or this sequence in general, was trying to gauge the distance between Luffy and top tiers. Because I think Oda used that arc to kind of show us where Luffy was, where Luffy and the supernova were. Not only through Silver's Rayleigh and Shaki commenting on how much stronger Rayleigh was than all of them, but also the use of the Pacifista and Sentomaru, and of course, Kizaru. That's why Return to Sabaody was so impactful, because once we came back, the Pacifista that everyone struggled with, they were able to take out in one shot. And I'm of the belief that if Zoro and Sanji wanted to take them out in one shot individually, they could. But that rivalry going on, it was more impactful, it was more symbolic if they both took out one, right? But after the hype of Luffy, Kid, Law, all of them, and the expectation that was built up for the supernova, here comes Kizaru. And Kizaru has one of the coldest intros to the story. He came flying in on a cannonball, casually, saying that he's arrived. And that is one of the coldest introductions, right? Of course, with Kaido's. There are definitely some dope ones in One Piece, but it's one of the best. He comes in, and pretty much his goal was to destroy the supernova, mostly Luffy, Law, and Kid. Well, going after those captains, because those were the prominent ones. And I specifically mentioned those three because of what Sentomaru said to him when they wanted the Den Mushi, as far as saying those are the three you need to go after. So he pulls up to Sabaody, and he completely decimates every single one of the supernova. Like, none of them have a chance against Kizaru. Again, going back to expectation and distance, gauging the distance between the supernova and the greatest fighting force the world government has to offer. This made a lot of things real for me as a One Piece fan, that Luffy and the Straw Hats, they just were not ready. And Kizaru was in the center of that. He was the main proponent of that, telling them that something has to be done or they have a long way to go to get to the level of the Admirals. I know a recent thing that's been happening as well is just the underestimation of the Admiral's strength, but I think Kizaru's in particular is the one that's not getting his deserved credit. I'm going to go through a few moments in which I believe why Kizaru should be heralded a bit more, but also why I think people underrate him, not understanding just how devastating this man can be. So the moments people point out in general, right, where Kizaru has fallen on the totem pole is because of specific events. One of these events was the battle between Aokiji and Akainu. We'll talk about that a bit more later, but that was the major event which automatically slid Kizaru down the totem pole. But before that, Kizaru in general, his personality plays a lot into his character, obviously, right? Duh. But it also dictates how Kizaru approaches things, how he fights, how he engages. Whereas he has a very nonchalant personality. He sometimes seems like he's not all the way there. Maybe a bit slow. But then it goes back to the devil fruit thing, where does your devil fruit impact your personality, or vice versa? Or was it always destined? Something we have to talk about someday. But one of the things is Kizaru having the Pika Pika no Mi, the light fruit, or the glint fruit, but being this person that goes at his own pace, never really taking things that seriously, just really nonchalant about everything. But I think one positive of his personality is that he's never been shown to lose his cool. He's never been shown to be in distress whatsoever. Even after stumbling upon the right hand of the Pirate King, while that is a stressful situation, it didn't overwhelm him. He didn't seem stressed, and even though Rayleigh pulled out a sword, Kizaru pulled out a sword of his own and was fighting on equal ground with Rayleigh. Now, a lot of people use that to underrate Kizaru, not understanding the context of that situation, or just not even context, just how many ways you can look at that situation. First off, Rayleigh is one of the strongest characters ever. Yes, he he is older now, but one thing you never forget to do is to wield the sword, especially if you've been doing that your entire career, your entire life. He hadn't touched a sword in a while, but that is his primary fighting style. Kizaru, of course, he can pull out his sword at any time, but being able to contest the Dark King in a battle of swordsmanship without really giving an inch, that's pretty damn impressive. And that goes back to the versatility and the strength of the Admirals, whereas nothing can really throw them off. It takes a lot to defeat these people. That's why when people casually throw around Admiral level, I wonder how they view the story, because these Admirals have been shown to be rivals or being able to fight against Yonko. But we're not going to get too far into that. That was an impressive showing by Kizaru, even though people use that to downplay Kizaru and upgrade Rayleigh or hype Rayleigh. And I'm not saying that to downplay Rayleigh at all, because I think Rayleigh is very strong. However, I think that moment does show how impressive the Admirals can be. And maybe that was probably the first domino in which Kizaru started falling down the totem pole of the Admirals, whereas an old Rayleigh can fight against Kizaru for 2.5 minutes, which if Rayleigh can do that, the entire perspective or just how we view the Roger Pirates would be shattered. If the right hand of the Pirate King could not hold off an Admiral for a couple minutes, people would definitely start to question the legitimacy of Roger's journey. You can't hold off an Admiral for a couple minutes and you are the right hand of the Pirate King? The age really doesn't matter as much. Of course, at the time it wasn't as apparent, but after Marineford, you could understand even in old age, you can still be a monster. See Whitebeard. Another moment was versus Marco, where Kizaru shot his light beams versus Marco. Marco casually flew through them. Then he attacked Kizaru and seemingly he overpowered Kizaru. Yeah, that's what happened. However, in that moment, Kizaru literally had no damage. Like nothing actually happened to him. And going with his personality and how much of a troll he is, one could say he was just like, whatever, I'm gonna do this and turn into light, no effect whatsoever. And of course, the famous moment, Kizaru and Ben Beckman. Now, that moment, when I first watched it, I thought that was Kizaru being scared of Ben Beckman, not understanding how personality plays into different character actions. Kizaru was trolling Ben Beckman after Ben Beckman pointed his gun at Kizaru, and then he put his arms up. You would think that's the end. You would think that Kizaru would shut it down. He's not going to do anything else. I'm too worried about Ben Beckman to continue. Literally, right after that, Kizaru continues to fire upon the submarine. He was trolling Ben Beckman, but people use this moment against him and use it to hype up Ben Beckman. I think both can be true. I think it speaks to Ben Beckman where an Admiral, while he is a troll, felt it necessary enough to say, oh, Ben Beckman. It was necessary enough for him to do that. However, you have to factor in personality traits. And basically Kizaru is I don't want to say a hostage, but character agency in a story is basically how you control a character's decisions as far as like good and bad, them making mistakes and doing different things based on personality or whatever, just making it seem more realistic. And for Kizaru, his agency is basically wrapped around the fact that he's a really nonchalant person. And that goes into every decision that he makes. But I think the most important thing that's led to Kizaru being underrated is character purpose. A lot of people feel now Kizaru's only purpose in the story is to be a fight at the end of the story, in comparison to the other OG Admirals, Akainu and Aokiji. So Akainu, right? After fighting Whitebeard and seemingly being the main rival of Whitebeard in the war, but I think that goes back to his agency as well. He goes on to fight Aokiji, who was also nominated for the Fleet Admiral position, where the Gorosei nominated someone, Sengoku recommended someone. Then they fought for the title. I'm surprised that that was allowed, that two admirals were allowed to fight for a title like that, because of just how things work in government, where at the end of the day, it's certain things that you have to hit, certain criteria, and being elected matters, but they let them duke it out, which is very weird, very strange. However, they fought. Akainu won after 10 days, and he became the Fleet Admiral, and Aokiji left the Marines. Apparently he joined up with Blackbeard, but we all presume that he's just working undercover. When you look at those characters, they seem to have a lot more importance in the story than Kizaru does. And that's a good point. That's a good thing to bring up, because for characters and purpose, it matters a lot when you think about endgame stuff. Whereas like if a character has no purpose in the story, why would Oda care about making a character strong or even stronger? I think for Kizaru, one thing that's always been apparent is that he's not going all out, right? He's not trying his hardest. While Akainu and Aokiji, they do have end game setup, Kizaru is important as well for end game setup. I think he has to be an opponent of the Straw Hats at the end of the story. So just based off that, I think he's going to be strong. And a limit that Oda has placed on Kizaru in regards to his personality, at the end of the story, you could say Kizaru has been holding back this entire time. Like, he has never tried this entire time. And now at the end of the story, in that final fight, removing that nonchalant attitude and saying, okay, this is something he really cares about, or introducing something he cares about, we could then see Kizaru at full power. And another thing that people are not understanding is that Kizaru probably has a devil fruit that could be the strongest in One Piece. Understanding just how light works and to truly grasp the speed of light, whereas if Kizaru actually used his devil fruit, the way that we perceive light, he should be eradicating people just from traveling. But this is One Piece, so his devil fruit has been limited. However, the potential of that fruit should be top 2 or 3. And if we use it how it should be used, top 1. And of course, again, Kizaru's always been one about the smoke. He pulled up to Sabaody, took out everyone. People forget that he fought Whitebeard in Marineford. He actually got the best of Whitebeard there, where he stood on his Basento, right? The strongest man in the world. He stood on his Basento, stopped it, and then fired lasers into Whitebeard. But it doesn't get the acclaim because Akainu took off half of Whitebeard's head, right? But Kizaru was not giving up anything at Marineford. We also remember, after announcing that Kaido and Big Mom were going to be in Wano, Kizaru said, I can go. I have no problem with going to Wano. Do you want me to? Showing that no matter the adversary, Kizaru is willing to put his strength to the test because he has that much confidence in himself. When I look at Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji, while I do consider Akainu and Aokiji stronger, it's not by much. So when people downplay or place them in a different tier just because they fought, I get it, but Kizaru is also the older admiral. So like, for me, how I view it, Akainu and Aokiji, right? Those are two monsters that always get recognized because of the powers that they have. Lava and chill, right? Lava and ice. And Kizaru is the bigger brother that probably doesn't get the acclaim because he doesn't care as much, but is just as talented and just as strong and maybe a bit more fearsome because we've never seen him really get upset. While I do understand people putting Akainu and Aokiji over Kizaru again because they fought and the Haki blooming system, I don't know. It's not an exact science, but I think we have to start putting more respect on Kizaru. He's become underrated and it's despicable. He needs more respect. But guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think about Kizaru? Do you think he's underrated at this point? Do you think he deserves more respect? How do you view him? Has your perception changed pre-time skip versus post-time skip? But guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogDAce. Follow me on Instagram, brogd.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.